have the time to listen to me whine about nothing and everything all at once. I am one of those melodramatic fools, neurotic to the bone, no doubt about it. Sometimes I give myself the creeps. Sometimes my mind plays tricks on me. It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Am I just stoned?
Welcome to the Jim Reith Show Unleashed podcast number 20. How about that? We hit number 20. That's fantastic. Appreciate you being here. We are safely ensconced in the inner sanctum of the secret, undisclosed Central New York location. It's 12 degrees out.
And there's 47 feet of snow.
Yes, there is. We're just coming off this brutal batch of snow that we've had. Our Yahoo of the week was an easy one again. It's Claudia Tenney, who is a congresswoman from northern New York, who has introduced a resolution to make Donald Trump's birthday a national holiday. So she's our Yahoo of the week. I can't get the president's reaction because he's golfing in Florida again.
Can you imagine if Chuck Schumer put a bill on the floor to say that Joe Biden's birthday is going to... Can you imagine what would have happened?
Yeah, iHeartRadio would explode, I think, with all their right-wing yahoos. We've got a great show today, a great podcast today. I keep saying show. We have a great podcast today. We're going to talk to Mike Brookins, who is the meteorologist for CBS 5 and NBC 3, about this winter, about the weather and why we're having this type of winter. It's a typical Central New York winter, although, January is way above average, February way above average for snow, but the first half was not, so it ends up being like a typical Central New York winter. Onondaga County Legislator Mo Brown is going to join us. He does not like the idea of a aquarium, and he'll lay out his reasons for that. And I'm with him on it. I'm a big fan of Ryan McMahon. You all know that. I think he's a great guy. I think he's doing a great job. This was a huge mistake, in my opinion. We don't need an aquarium in Central New York. We just don't. And that money certainly could have been put to much better use. And it's a shame, but it's going up. It's a reality. And so we'll talk to Mo Brown about that. And then this coming weekend is Goliathcon. It's, how would you describe it? Like a
big Comic-Con.
Yeah.
More than, they have a lot of collector fests here in Syracuse.
They do.
One at the fair. Then I want to say Galaxy did a Wrestle Fest,
right,
which was kind of, but this is, and for the first time, they're actually bringing in celebrities for signings. Usually it's just local people and stuff, but they're bringing in some big cool movie star names from the 80s,
yep.
90s.
And comic book artists.
Yep. And you're going to hear, if you're into comics and you're going to hear the people that are going to be there, you're going to want to be there because what they do at those conventions, you can get personalized commission drawings from those comic book artists. My ex-brother-in-law, Amy's brother, is a comic book artist. And we went to MegaCon in Orlando one year when he did it. Now, he's a very humble kind of guy. He's a colorist. He did he colored the cover for the Superman and Lois Lane wedding. He's done some pretty cool stuff. Star Wars with Dark Horse Comics. We went. This is many years ago. Aria might have been. My daughter might have been 1 or 2, and he went and did this and was ill prepared. Didn't bring anything to sign or anything with him, and he had a rush of people come to the table. These people want this stuff. They want the drawings and the commissioned artwork and the autographs, and so you're going to be able to get some. There's some big names coming.
So what would a commissioned drawing go for?
You see table. You'll see a price at a table. They can go up to $300, $400, $500.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Probably more than that. I mean, if it's somebody like a big Marvel guy. I'm sure, Stan Lee was getting some money.
Oh,
he just put his name on a piece of paper before he died.
Well, we've got a comic book artist in Central New York. His name's Joe Jusko, and he's done Vampire Ella. He's done a bunch of really good stuff, and he lives in Central New York. I'm Facebook friends with him and his wife, and we should get him on the pod sometime.
And Mike Borkowski, too. He's another local guy that went to school with my my ex-wife's brother, who is the creator of the Fighting Otto.
Really?
Yep, and he does all the caricatures for the Mets, the Syracuse Mets.
Wow.
Yep, and they actually, my ex-wife's brother and he teamed up and did a few of those, those little golden books they used to have?
Yes.
Of the Fantastic Four and of the comic book guys.
Wow.
There's a few. We collected them all because Mike's name's on them for Aria. Yeah.
All right, so it's at the Central New York Family Sports Center, but you'll hear all about it, and it should be a good time had by all.
I got a question to ask you.
Yes.
What do you think? And did you watch the hockey game the other day? The U.S.-Canada hockey game. It was an absolute fantastic hockey game. If you're a hockey fan, what are your thoughts on this booing of the national anthem? It's kind of. Do you know what's going on with that whole thing?
Yeah. The Canadian citizens.
The
are
Canadian
booing the national
citizens.
anthem.
Yes.
I got no problem with it.
I feel the same.
No problem with it whatsoever. I mean, we've seen Americans boo other people's anthems and flags and stuff like that. I have no problem with it at all. I mean, when you have a president of the United States saying to take your country
and make it the 51st state.
I don't even want to get into it.
We've talked about it. It's
I
Canadian bacon all over
I
again.
think it's fine. I do. Boo all you want, man. It's your right as far as I'm concerned.
Now I'm interested in what's going to happen because the game Saturday, Sunday, whatever that game was in Montreal. So that was in Canadian soil. Thursday's game's in Boston.
Well, they're going to boo the Canadian anthem.
It's going to be. And there's going to be 3,000 fights. I mean, the first 9 seconds of the game on this past weekend, there's 3 fights. But that wasn't because of the political thing. You've got rivals.
Right.
And I think this is the greatest idea of an all-star game you could ever come up with. This 4 nations tournament.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I mean, look what they've done with the NFL Pro Bowl and the NBA Pro. It's
junk now.
Yep.
It's all junk.
These guys going out there and killing each other in the first 10 seconds.
All right, let's go. Hey, joining us now on the podcast from CBS 5 and NBC 3 is meteorologist Mike Brookins, who we all blame for this ridiculous winter that we're having. It's your fault, Mike.
Come on. What type of introduction is that?
It's your fault, brother.
We'll blame it on Wayne.
So what is the meteorological reason for this?
The meteorological reason for this is Lake Ontario and the upper Great Lakes. The combination of cold air crossing those warmer bodies of water, relatively speaking, compared to the landmass, and that picks up moisture and heat and forms this lake effect snow. And when you get in the right wind direction, you get pummeled with snow, which is what we're seeing up north of Syracuse.
So for us in the Syracuse area, Onondaga County, let's say, this is pretty much like, maybe a little bit worse than a normal winter, but it's not out of the realm of being normal.
No, Jim, actually, it's been worse than normal for January and February. Not record levels, but it's been snowier than normal and slightly colder than normal. Not huge amounts. We're not up to the record amount. When you look at the stats that we're showing, though, you got to keep in mind, we were in a snow drought in November and October. In December, it wasn't even a lot of snow. So it all came in a big bunch in January and February. So if you look at, 2025, we're way above average.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So you got to, if you look at like almost the second half of the winter, we're piling on the snow, the second half versus the first half.
And we've been spoiled like the last 5 years, right? At least at least the last 3.
I think it's been 6 years since we've seen anything close to this. Yes. And the last 2 years have been near record minimums. You've only remember so far back. We always talk about storms that hit 30, 40 years ago. Remember that storm back in 93? But a lot of times you remember what happened last winter and the winter before that. And we've been getting complacent with very low snowfall totals, easy to drive around. People out playing golf in January. That's not the case in a normal winter, let alone one where the snow's above average like this January and February.
I'm old, so I remember the blizzard of '66. I was 8 years old when that hit, and I lived in Baldwinsville at the time, and that was just incredible. So, what can we expect so far from your predictions? You're looking at all the data, which I think is very cool, by the way. But what are you looking at for the next, I don't know, several weeks?
The pattern is nothing significantly warm. Let me highlight the positives. I don't see any blizzards coming in the next 10 days. And I don't see any lake effect bouts that have resembled anything that we've had for the last 2 weeks. It's been a rough, basically 14-day period. Very intense lake effect snow, way above average, even for Oswego County standards from the last week or so. I don't see any events like that taking place. I see, though, more temperatures near or slightly below typical levels, which give us more opportunities for snow. And it's all about wind direction with lake effect. The wind direction seems to be more out of the north versus the west. So this is going to favor areas more south and southeast of Lake Ontario at times. And that generally means lighter snow. You don't get the fetch over Lake Ontario, which is the distance that the cold air crosses over the lake. You also don't get the upstream connections with the Great Lakes upstream. So you will not feed Lake Ontario with already a band of snow. This air will be coming out of, let's say, the Toronto, Kingston area, and it's a little bit drier. So it picks up some moisture, gives us some light snow, but nothing like when you get a westerly wind with winds coming in from Lake Superior, Lake Huron, over Lake Ontario, and just slamming Oswego County.
So that's what it's all about. It's all about the wind direction as it comes over all the Great Lakes.
Yeah, and how the degree of cold weather as well. You need colder weather, you need correct wind direction, as well as the winds aloft not shearing, which is changing direction in different elevations. But because it's a drier air coming from the north and it doesn't have as much time over Lake Ontario, it's generally a weaker lake effect snow. So we're going to be, watching that. Also, something of note is we're now second half of February. The lake effect snow season is limited when Lake Ontario freezes, and that's not happening as of now. Also, you need a certain temperature difference between the lake and the air aloft, not at the surface, but aloft. And that temperature difference won't be as great once we get into March. Generally, you don't get a big enough difference between the 33-degree water temperature of Lake Ontario and the air aloft. So the lake effect snow that does develop is going to be weaker, less pronounced, and less often as well. So we're almost on the tail end of the lake effect season. I often say come March 1st, we're done with the big lake effect season. We still get nor'easters. We still get low pressure systems that can dump big snows on us. That's what March is known for. Beware the Ides of March, that first 14-day period of March where you get big snowstorms, but it's less lake effect. So you just got to hold with us another 2 weeks and hopefully we'll be able to shut the lake effect machine off.
And it's interesting to note that this has nothing to do with climate change, global warming. It's still out there and it's still waiting to affect us as it has in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, what happens is the polar jet stream buckles sometimes, and it buckles and drops the jet stream down here into North America. And January was very cold in all of North America and Canada, and especially the United States. But globally, outside of North America, almost the entire rest of the globe was above average. So just because we get this cold in January and February doesn't mean global warming is on pause or is stopped. You got to think of it as a global phenomenon. January, though, for the nation as whole, the United States and North America, was colder than average. That polar vortex, which spins up in the northern parts of North America, took a drop and allowed us to get bouts of Arctic air, which set us up for both lake effect as well as storm systems. It wasn't pure lake effect that dumped 100 inches in Palermo, just about 97 inches in the last 2 weeks. It was a combination of the storm. Remember, we had the freezing rain and the ice over the weekend. They were getting snow during that.
100 inches of snow.
Just about.
Oh, my God. All right, so let's talk about the West Coast, Mike, because the West Coast has just been brutalized. Not only, the fires, but now they got drenched with rain, and now they're dealing with landslides.
Yeah, the burn scars. So that if you lose the vegetation, you don't have stuff to hold the mud on the mountains, and it's very hilly there, even more so than what we have around here. So rain, you'd think, would be a good thing for those areas which are very dry. You want to let the vegetation grow to inhibit fires from forming in the first place. But, it's really deadly where they have rain going over a burn scar because there's nothing to hold that mountain or landslide up.
One of the things I like to do on this podcast, and Bill and I like to do on the podcast, is to find out more about people that we have, on the show. So let's talk about Mike Brookins a little bit. How long have you been at CBS 5 and 3 now?
I've got a 20-year anniversary coming up in October. No
kidding.
Yes. So I came back in October of 2005. And I've worked just about every shift.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I had the pleasure of working with Mike for a few years at Channel 3 and 5. When I was Michael Benny's editor.
We miss you, Bill.
Mike was one of the good guys. I always remember the day I was practicing with my band in the I used the newsroom to practice in the broadcast room to practice in one of the old ones.
I am a big Bill Ali fan. He's got a great voice. I always said, he could be making music somewhere with his voice.
Well, that's what that's what gives me the opportunity to do this. I play music and hang out with Jim now. That's what I do.
So where'd you get your schooling, Mike?
So I went to SUNY Brockport, got a degree in meteorology. That was all the way back in 1993. Started off at WHAM in Rochester and then worked briefly in Pittsburgh. So I've been in the business for over 30 years.
Wow, WHAM in Pittsburgh. That's great. And now Syracuse.
And I moved here. My wife has an excellent job as an attorney. And, I came here to be closer to my family in Rochester and grew in love with it. So we built a house up in Baldwinsville, and now I'm a long timer.
Where in Beeville are you?
Up in the Harbor Heights area. So we're right up towards the river. You start to get into that lake effect belt where you get heavier snows. So I have to drive in every morning from snowy north of the Thruway.
I grew up in the Comstock track, so I know Harbor Heights very, very well. I had a lot of friends in Harbor Heights when I was a kid. And that's the snow belt, man. I'll tell you, like I said, the blizzard of 66 was just incredible. And after that, I live in Bayberry now, and we're kind of right on the edge of getting that snow belt stuff. But Beeville is used to getting hammered. I mean, you're only 10 miles away from Fulton. So but it's a great place. It's a great place to live for sure.
Yeah, I live in a cul-de-sac, and they plow the snow into a hill into the middle of the cul-de-sac. Last winter, that hill maybe got to 2 feet, barely lasted. This past week, it is a mountain. I almost want to get my skis on, but we used to go out sledding with our kids in the middle of the cul-de-sac. That hill could climb to maybe 15, 18 feet tall, and it's just about that right now.
No kidding.
Yeah,
we used to play King of the Mountain.
Melt off.
We used to play King of the Mountain at Van Buren Elementary School when they did that, and they made us stop when it got a little bit rough. But all right, I appreciate your time, Mike. Thanks very much. I love the explanation. I love meteorology. I love all the data that's you can look at and check things out. I think it's a very cool profession to be in, and I appreciate your time very much.
Sure thing. I just asked for one thing.
What's that?
Let's root for spring. I'm tired of this snow and cold.
Yes, Bill just said that when I came in today to the inner sanctum. Yeah, so ready for spring. All right, Mike, thank you, man.
All right, bye-bye.
Hey, it's Jim. If you'd like to be part of this podcast as an advertiser, get a hold of us at jimreithunleashed@gmail.com, and we have rates to match your budget. Trust me. jimreithunleashed@gmail.com. Hey, joining us now on the podcast, and I've been looking forward to this because I'm a Ryan McMahon fan. I'm not an aquarium fan. So County Legislator Mo Brown is here, and we're going to talk about this because I saw your post, and I saw the charts and everything that you had about the aquarium. Explain all of that to me, Mo.
Yeah, so in, what was this, 2021 now? Time is moving. Also, thank you for having me on. I know we're jumping right in, and I don't mind it. But in 2021, when it was proposed, the feasibility study was presented to the legislature. So I wasn't on the ledge at the time, but I was following the project. And the feasibility study pretty much made some assumptions that I disagree with. And then a lot of the projections went off of those base assumptions. And because the base assumption to me was flawed, it kind of, skewed the whole validity of the whole study. But the biggest one to me was the revenue potential. So they talked about projected outside spending if everything should go in. it talked about, how half of the daily visitors are going to make a 5-hour commute, which, I question. But the biggest one I questioned was that if everything went according to their own plan, the aquarium is scheduled to generate a little over $700,000 annually. And if we're going to pay $85 million into something, I would like a better return on investment than that. I would. I get that, there's an educational value and it has things, but $100 million or $85 million is a lot of money to not see any return on investment for 100 years. So yeah, that like was the foundation of my aquarium dislike, besides the, moral fact where I think we should be spending the money on, housing and food and things like that.
Well, the thing that gets me, and again, I think Ryan's doing a great job, but
Hmm.
it's $100 million, and an aquarium's nice. It is. It's nice,
Yeah.
but there's so many other problems in Onondaga County that $100
Yes.
million can go a long way in solving.
Yes, agreed. And honestly, I think my aquarium opposition has foreshadowed or kind of overshadowed the fact that, like I said, I don't think Ryan is doing that bad of a job. I disagree with kind of his methods, but if you look at Plan Onondaga, if we're able to execute Plan Onondaga, so it's his vision for Onondaga County, but I'm big on housing, and the housing portion of Plan Onondaga is legit. And you can argue with it. You can say there's some, so I think there's some like societal barriers in the plan, but Plan Onondaga wants to build dense housing in city centers. So he wants to do like the village of Baldwinsville, the village of East Syracuse, the town of Manlius is getting a big I think over 100 unit project because of it. And it's going to be workforce housing, it's going to be senior housing, things we need. And the old school model of everyone gets a single family home, that we can't build single family homes fast enough. Like Micron's coming and we need housing already. So like I'm fully on board with that. I just think the way he's going about it, targeting the northern suburbs, is off, because the argument up there isn't economic, it's more societal. Like when you say, affordable housing in Cicero, they think I'm moving in. And
Yeah,
they don't want
right.
to they don't want that. But I think that, fundamentally, X's and O's, dollars and cents, it's a good plan, but this aquarium thing is not something I can get behind. It just doesn't make sense. I would have much rather seen an aquarium size investment into housing, into lead remediation, into transportation. I can go for a long time with the things I would have rather seen that in. But yeah, he's fixated to make this, a reality.
Yeah, and I really don't get it. I'm going to have him on again. I've had him on once, and we talked a
Okay.
lot about Micron and the need
Nice.
for housing. But I
Yes.
would say the city of Syracuse, the number one need is affordable housing. Affordable
Yes.
housing is not a $1,400 a month apartment.
Yes, it's not. It's not. And expecting it to be that is not. And I like, this is the real difference in our housing strategy is, he thinks the market can solve it and I don't. And I don't think the market can solve it because it hasn't yet. And it would have by now. But like you said, 1400 is not feasible. It's just not. And for a builder to come in and build housing, if it's not 1400, they can't profit. So like if we as government can't come in and meet them halfway, whether that's federal, whether that's state, whether that's, local with, different tax incentives and things like that, if we can't, it's gonna remain unaffordable. And I don't like
I
that.
agree. I agree completely. The market's not going to fix it.
Mm,
It can't. It just won't.
mm.
So,
Yes.
talking back again about the aquarium,
Yes.
I was a huge proponent of Destiny. I thought it was going to be a great thing, and it has been a good thing for the area. But Destiny's on the way down,
Hmm.
and if that goes, there goes your tourism completely.
Yeah. That's a real worry. So, full transparency, I was not a Destiny fan. And not even because of what we're seeing now. I just think that the tourism model in Central New York doesn't work. Destiny is kind of like a worst case, and the amphitheater is kind of like a best case, like tourism. You're trying to get people to come here, but if you look, we're still number one in child poverty. And it's like the amphitheater is nice. We've had it for what, 7, 8 years now. what is time? I feel like that was 2019, but it may have even been before then. But I I don't think that, the tourism model works. It works in some places. It works in Florida. It works, when you have Disney World or when you have, really warm weather. But Central New York is not a tourist destination. Like it's not gonna be until we invest in the community in a significantly large way. And right now, if I'm a tourist, I may come once or twice, but I'm not gonna stay. An aquarium argument that my floor leader brought to me, I didn't even think about, but during the holiday season, we had to close Destiny for security reasons. It was like a legit security threat. I don't think the aquarium is going to be exempt to that. I don't. I think we're going to face those same problems until we start addressing root causes. And yeah, sorry,
So
I'm a rambler.
no, that's good, and it's all right. I mean, it's true. Everything you just said is true.
Yes,
The only tourism that we have in Central New York is when SU
yes,
and its teams are doing well. Okay,
yeah,
so you're going to draw big crowds that way, but
yes.
the conventions that we would need to have,
Hmm.
um, losing hotel spaces hurt.
Yep.
Now there's some more hotels being built or whatever, but I agree with you. Tourism is
Hmm.
not the way to grow the economy in Central New York. It's just not. And now that we have Micron coming in,
Yes.
that's a good way to grow tax dollars and whatnot.
Yes.
You bring more workers to the area, but you have to, like you said, you have to have a city that's vibrant
Yeah.
and healthy. Because if you don't, like you said,
Mhm.
years and years and years ago, we had the ABC tournament in downtown Syracuse. It's a big bowling tournament, huge bowling
Okay.
tournament.
Nice.
And
In the on center.
I was
At
bowling
the onset.
then
Okay.
with some guys from Kentucky. And
Okay.
I said, what do you think about the city? And they
Yeah.
said, well, we like the area, but man, your city is number one, is dirty. And number
Oof.
two, there's nothing to do. So that was from people from out of town. And this
Hmm.
is that was a big economic draw, the ABC tournament. It's never
Yes.
come back.
Damn.
It's millions of dollars in revenue, but it's never come back again. And that's the kind of thing that you have to have. Tourism
Yes.
on its own, no one's going
Hmm.
to say, where do you want to go this year for vacation? You want to go to the Jersey Shore? Or do you want to go to Syracuse? They're not
Legit.
coming to Syracuse.
They're not. And honestly, you're spot on. I didn't know that about the ABC tournament. That makes me sad because like I think these are things we can address. Even though there's nothing to do. Syracuse. So I was a stand-up comedian in like a past lifetime, but I told jokes at like Giorgio Days and the CNY Playhouse when those were things. And like what I learned through that process is we have a vibrant arts community like
Yes.
underneath. I think
Yes.
having SU as a backdrop has helped because they bring in a lot of talent, and it's just a place you can foster that. But like once you leave campus, we really don't nurture our arts community like we can. Like, I'm just comparing us to like Rochester and Buffalo, let alone, Philadelphia and Chicago. But, when I was at Brockport, the art scene in Rochester and the South Wedge would like, the amount of shows they have, the amount of funding they get from, Monroe County and things like that. And I would have taken an aquarium size investment into our arts community. I think that, there's nothing to do, but if you give, the Black Artist Collective $500,000, if you give Funk and Waffles a bunch of money to find talent, like I believe in these people. I really do. I've seen the shows. I know what Red House can do. Like I can go for a long time. I was in this community. Like I said, I was a stand-up comedian. So I've worked with these people, but like they're operating on shoestring budgets because they have to live in the poverty that is Central New York. And if we don't expand their clientele base, if we don't make it so that the people who want to go there have affordable housing, have safe schools, if we don't address those things, they're still going to, be playing catch up. And my biggest gripe with the aquarium from day one is priority. What like you got to prioritize something. Budgets are priority documents. If you show me your budget, whether you're a family, whether you're a municipality, whether you're a college, whether you're, a business, if you show me your budget, I can tell you what your priorities are. And right now, I think ours is off. I do. And we're
I
going to be
agree. I
paying
do.
for it.
I agree.
We're
So
going to, you go.
before I let you go, let
Sorry,
me
I'll
ask you
shut
this.
up.
So
Yeah,
coming from that
I get it.
background, right?
Yes.
Now you're a lawmaker.
Yes.
How's that been? How's that transition been? Now you see what goes on the inside.
Yes. So the transition has been, let's say, enlightening, educational. So it's a lot more political than I would have liked it to be. Um, you see like the scandal and the West Wing and what was the other House of Cards and all those things. And a lot of those conversations were like, for lack of a better term, like deals. It was like, oh, if you give, this industry $20 million, I'll support you to get that next industry X amount of dollars. My conversations have not been like that. My conversations have been about, getting someone elected or stopping someone from getting elected. And if you don't support my election, to hell with them kids, living in poverty. And that's not who I am. Like I got in this to help people. Not even to toot my own horn, but I I could be doing other things, but in my heart, I was a Bernie bro. I want to help people. I have the ability to help people, and I want to do that. I'm not in this to make as much money as possible. I'm not in this, necessarily to like lower taxes, just, as a broad strategy. I'm in this to take care of people. And right now I don't see enough of that in government, and I'm trying to put that more in. Like people in my conversations with people, if you said, your taxes are going to be $10 and we're going to use it to build an aquarium, or it's going to be $11, but we're going to build roads, we're going to build houses, we're going to build hospitals. Most people take that $11. And I think that we can do that. Like that option is present to us. We just need the political will to do so.
100%, 100%. I think you're right on the money, Mo. I appreciate your time, man, and we are definitely going to talk again, no question.
Hello, it's producer Bill, and boy, do we have some merch for you. And all you have to do is go to the Jim Reith Show Unleashed.com. That's right, the Jim Reith Show Unleashed.com. And yes, Reith, Reith. The Jim Reith Show Unleashed.com. You can get your hoodies, t-shirts, coffee mugs. We've even got cell phone cases at the Jim Reith Show Unleashed.com.
Hey, joining us now on the podcast is Rob Stacey. He runs Goliathcon, which is coming to the area this weekend. He also has a store in Phoenix, right, Rob?
Yeah, Phoenix.
So what do you do at the store?
At the store, we do a lot of new stuff. Well, we do a little bit of new and old. So we do like Pops and, whatever's Pokemon. But I'm also an older dude, so I do like older stuff too, like Star Wars and Shogun Warriors. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm kind of
definitely. Sure.
Yeah,
Hey,
so
man.
I run the gambit myself.
What's hot right now in the toy world?
Pokemon. Pokemon's on fire.
Always will be.
Yeah,
Always will be.
My kid's 12 and she's all about it.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's like 8 to 80, man. It's got everybody right now.
It's lasted so long.
Well, like I remember buying it for my daughter in like the 95. That's when my daughter like was in like, second grade, third grade. And that's when it started. And it's so now those kids are now 30 buying it for their kids.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? So now it's not like it's jumped a generation where usually when something like that dies, but now it's gotten into the new generation, and now it's gonna go forever probably.
Probably because of that app, right? Pokemon Go.
Well, it was a little bit of everything. I mean, it was popular, still popular with like the Gen X kids. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So they played it. They were still playing it up until they started having kids. So they just like when they got old enough, they let them join. You know what I mean? Like, let's do it together. And then the app came.
Exactly. Yep.
And then the app came, and that just propelled it even more, because then it made them it made the kids join in because it was on their phone. They loved it. So now,
Exactly.
So now they know everything. Now they know about it, and now they know. So now it's multi-generational, and they'll probably go on for forever.
Now, here's something I've noticed lately, though, because I used to be a sports card guy, and for years and years and years. But I got out of it, sold my collection, and moved on. But so now it's all about ripping packs, and that takes the whole, even with Pokemon, it takes the whole true collecting thing out of the realm, because a lot of these investors now are doing is buying super expensive boxes, ripping the packs, trying to find a super expensive card, and just, whatever with the rest of them. They either throw them out or sell them all in bulk. I don't like that trend at all.
Yeah, I agree with that to a certain extent. I mean, there's I see both sides of that. I mean, those people are, but you got to remember, it's just like going to the casino. Those guys are losing a lot. You know what I mean? To try to gain. So eventually, those losses add up.
What
so
was,
they
what
either
was the
get
charge
out
for those?
or they start collecting.
What were they charging for a box of those baseball cards that had that Paul Skeens card in it?
Oh, there's a bunch. There's a whole bunch.
There was that one.
Yeah,
that
there's
the team
$30,
wanted to give
$40 boxes. They have 5 cards in them.
Yeah. Yes.
Like what?
Yeah. It's crazy. It is. I've been watching it a lot lately. It's crazy. I mean, you can buy a box now for like $500, and there's 4 cards in it.
Yep.
Yeah, with 4 cards.
It's crazy.
Like, what are you talking about? Like what?
All right, so
I'm looking. I have cards that are worth $500. I'm not buying a box.
Let's talk about Goliathcon. You got some really interesting people coming in this weekend.
Yeah, I try to be. So I'm a show vendor too. So I do a lot of the bigger shows as a vendor. So I tried to make sure that our show was kind of diverse in the people that we had. So we got Matt Riddle and Elias coming in from WWE, UFC. Formerly. Yeah,
Bill's all excited about the guy from the Last Dragon.
Love him, Timac.
Timac. Yeah, he's coming in. I'm friends with his. I got lucky. I'm friends with his agent, and she kind of like got him in for me. So that was him and Steve Cardenas, the Red Ranger. Those guys are coming in. Yeah, that was a good ad for us. So
you don't see him a lot. You don't see Timac a lot on the circuit.
No. He stays to like some bigger shows. Like he was at New York last year. I've seen him here or there, but he doesn't do a ton. So I'm lucky to have him.
Is there
I'm
a
lucky
circuit?
To have them both.
Is there like a circuit for these guys, Rob?
What's that?
Is there like a circuit of shows that a lot of these guys do?
Yeah. There's a national circuit now that most of these guys do. But Syracuse is not on that circuit.
Right. No.
So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to differentiate our show from like these toy shows, and I'm trying to, pretty much up the game of these shows in Syracuse that have just been basically, either card shows or toy shows forever.
Right.
So there's never been a true, real Comic-Con here in Syracuse. Like lately, guys are stepping up their games, but they really haven't, up until just recently, they haven't been having guests and doing more of the con experience that most shows do outside of Syracuse.
I like the fact
I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to help do that and up the game a little bit. That's all.
I like the fact you have a lot of comic book artists too.
Yeah, we got amazing comic book artists. John Beatty, Secret Wars. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? Kevin Conrad, Keith Williams. Yeah, we have 8 or 9 amazing.
And the best part of these guys, when the comic book guys come, you can commission a piece from them. They're kind of expensive.
Wow, really?
But they will draw a piece. Am I correct? I'm right, Rob.
Yeah,
right?
no, absolutely. Yeah. That's the the main source of their income at the shows is commissions. I mean, yeah, they sign stuff, but commissions is where it's at. So, like what I'll do when I go to a show, I'll bring so they make basically what are called blanks. So they have blank covers. You can buy them, online or whatever, and they'll commission. You can commission and pay them to do a blank cover of basically anything you want.
Wow. That's
so it's
cool.
so you have a Amazing Spider-Man cover, and then you can have like John Beatty do a custom artwork on that blank cover and sign it. You know what I mean? Dude, it's amazing.
That is
so
amazing.
They'll be doing that all weekend. Yeah, those guys are. I grew up in the 70s. You know what I mean? I'm, that old.
Yeah, 20. I'm older, bud. So you're
$20.
Yeah, no, I know.
Is cheap too.
I feel like me saying that, I'm like, oh man, that's old now.
Yeah, I'm a comic book guy from way back.
Yeah,
Silver Age stuff.
And so am I. And I brought in John because, like, I think, like, thinking all the way back through all those like mini series and all the stuff, like Secret Wars was literally my favorite, mini series that basically turned into like, basically half of the Marvel universe came out of those stories, out of like Secret Wars. They branched out of that, including the black suit of Spider-Man, and then Venom coming out of that. So like all that, a lot of those storylines come right out of Secret Wars. So that's, I mean, for me, I don't know. I just thought that it's cool to have people that you like looked up to when you were a kid reading the stories. And now you get to like meet them and like,
that's the best,
and hang out with them and have them at your show. It's like,
are most of these guys good guys, Rob?
Oh yeah, they're great dudes. All the dudes that I have coming are amazing people. They're super nice, and they're very accommodating.
All right, so it's this Saturday, Sunday at the CNY Family Sports Center, right?
Yeah, right in Baldwinsville. It's a weird address, Syracuse or Baldwinsville, whichever you prefer. But right off exit 39, right over there in Baldwinsville. Yeah, we're going to be there all weekend.
What time do doors open?
VIPs at 9:30, regulars 10 o'clock.
And how can people get advance tickets?
Advance tickets are on Eventbrite. You can go to Goliathcon.com and check them out, or you can get tickets at the door.
And we'll have all that information on our Jim Reith Show Unleashed Facebook page.
Awesome. Thank you, Rob, for your time, man. Good luck with this. I hope it's huge.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for having me. And
I'll see you on Saturday or Sunday.
I hope to see you there, bro. Thank you.
All right, what a show, huh? Fantastic. Mo Brown, I love that guy. So we'll have him on again. And and I do appreciate Mike Brookins and Rob Stacey being here too. We've got some interesting back in the day stuff coming up that we're working on. The one with Dave Bullard and Dan Cummings and Christy Casciano was a big hit. I heard a lot of positive feedback about that from people that I know, and they loved it. So we'll be doing some more of that stuff. I've got contact with people from back in the day, as they say, the salad days of my youth.
Ball cap.
No ball cap. No ball cap. One of my other bosses, though, we're lining up, but not ball cap. No. Ball cap's wife, but not ball cap. All right, so that'll do it. Thank you, as always, for listening. This is number 20.
This is going good. I look forward to this day every week.
Yeah,
I really
do. I do too. It is fun to do, and it's fun just you and me hanging out and talking about stuff. I like that a lot. So take care of yourselves, okay? God willing, we're all back at it next time on the Jim Reith Show Unleashed podcast.